What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Rose Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay. Who else but me? And today I've got a special guest for everybody. It is the homie D.E.A.N. D.E.A.N. That's right. Ah, man, such a good dude. I love chopping it up with this guy. Had a great conversation with him. Found out we got a lot in common that I didn't know that we would. Especially a love for Disney, of all things. And I know people that, don't really know. They see the imagery of the artwork and go, Disney? Yes, Disney. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. But anyways, really good dude. And every interaction I've ever had with him has been nothing but pleasant. And not only that, after we got done doing our show. Here's the thing, when people usually say, man, I'm going to send this to you, whatever it might be, a product, tickets, whatever it might be. And I usually take it at face value because I've been burned so many times. I don't get excited for stuff until it's in my hands. So when I got done talking with Mr. Dean after our interview, he was like, man, I'm going to send you my comic book. And there's a DVD set that goes along with it. And I want you to have it. And so you can check it out because I told him I was a comic book fan. So I was like, yeah, man, for sure. And I'll send you my address. And I did. And, I didn't think much of it because, again, I've been burned so many times with situations like this. I don't get excited anymore for stuff like that until it's in my hands. Well, I've got his project in my hand right now. It's called Autumndale, and you can see this is a pretty thick paperback cover, trade paperback, and man, it's got all types of dope stories in it. And the first one, I actually read the first one already. Just did it a little bit ago because, again, I've been so busy, and he's been so patient with me to look at this stuff. But I finally got around to reading the very first issue. It's called The Great Witch. Look at this artwork, man. Look at the detail in this. And he made this. That's what's crazy. Super good quality stuff. And not only that, which, by the way, awesome first issue in this. I was blown away by the detail as far as the dialogue goes. You could tell he's really studied how things were during. I don't want to give away too much. We'll leave it at that. You could tell he did his homework. And not only that, he sent me this DVD companion piece to go along with the book. And man, super dope. And I'm really going to spend the next couple of weeks really diving into some of this stuff, and I'll report back after the fact. 'Cause it's super cool. I wish you guys could feel this, because the quality of this book, and if you're a comic book fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is not cheaply made. And that's hard to really hammer down for those who don't know. There are some cheaply made paperback books. This rivals anything professional that I've ever held in my hands before. So much appreciation to him for that. Again, I read the very first issue. It was awesome. Can't wait to dive into the rest of this. And I will report back on my thoughts on that. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless, I'm going to quit babbling. And now here's a word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll get into the interview with me and the homie Dean. Check it out, y'all. All right, everybody, it's time to stop and let you know about today's sponsor of the show, Crazy Martin's in Piqua, Ohio, one of my favorite places in the entire world to go to. Crazy Martin's has provided their customers with quality products for over 20 years, from ashtrays to water pipes and everything in between. Stop in, check out their selection, and of course, check out their pinball machines. With over 20 pins to choose from, there is something for everyone. Crazy since 1996. I don't just say this about every place. I love going to Crazy Martin's. I've always loved going to Crazy Martin's ever since I was of age to go to Crazy Martin's. It's one of my favorite places in the entire world. Me and my wife go there almost every Sunday to play pinball machines. It is one of the funnest spots in Ohio you could possibly find. It is in Piqua, Ohio. Check out their website at www.crazymartins.com. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Rose Show. As always, I am your host, Jay. Who else but me? And today, I know a lot of you are probably at this point tired of hearing me say stuff like this, but it has to be prefaced because it is important to know that when I'm doing my job, when I'm at shows like Camp Zool or, whatever it is that we're doing at the time, it's hard to sit down and have conversations with the artists because a lot of the times they're either busy getting ready for their set or I'm busy doing my job, whatever it might be. We know that we have certain people in the business that you know each other for years, but you don't really get that much of an opportunity to sit down and talk to them outside of it because while you're at the show, it's nothing but the show shit. You know what I mean? So when it comes to guys like my guest today, I enjoy having these conversations with them because even though I've known them for a couple of years, this is the chance where I get to sit down and have a discussion and find out about them, what makes them tick, and all that kind of good stuff. So my guest today, I met through Camp Zool. I think he was there from the very first one, if I remember right. And we've crossed paths multiple times. And man, I'm really looking forward to talking to him. A lot of people that I know think very highly of him, and my interactions with him as well have been nothing but awesome. And I'm really looking forward to this one. It is D.E.A.N, my dude. How are we doing today, brother?
Good, man. Good. Just chilling, recovering from the fourth. I feel like I got hit by a semi truck, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, as we're recording this is 4th of July weekend. So before we hit record, we were both kind of talking about like, oh God, we're both kind of, but yeah, we're going to get this going. We're going to have a good one here today. So while we are starting things off, let's go ahead and just start at the beginning. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your upbringings and talk about what it was like being a little dean.
Shit. Well, for those of you that don't know, my name's Dean, Destiny, Everything and Nothing, aka the Pig God. Um, Growing up, I mean, shit, it was crazy growing up. Like I had a very sheltered upbringing, very like button up Christian household. Um, but also that kind of fell apart in in the like when I was like 9, 10. Um, but I don't know, everything that was very like weird and macabre was always like blocked out of my house. Like we never did Halloween. We never did like
Mm.
no horror movies or anything. Matter of fact, I didn't get into the horror flicks until I was like out on my own and I started. I was living with my best friend and his dad at the time, and his dad was like a B movie junkie. So that summer, me and his dad just sat and watched everything from like Basket Case to like Street Trash, like all the crazy like Chud and all that. And that's where my love for all that like blossomed. But outside of that, it was kind of a normal upbringing and stuff. And then when I started doing music, it was around 2003, 2004. Um, and we started off just by I lived in a flop house. There was about 21 of us in a 3 bedroom apartment. Um, 4 or 5 of us would work so that the rest of us could continue to party, and and it just kind of cycled through like that. Um, and me and my homeboy started a group called Southeast Devastation, where we would just throw huge house parties and do rap sets in the living room. There was a point in time where we were getting like 150, 200 people in the apartment for a party. Um, and then from that, it just snowballed. Like I always wanted to do film. That's what I wanted to do. But I started, being a juggalo and going to the gathering and all that. Of course, you want to make music. That's 95% of juggalos want to make music at some point. But for us, it just started and it was good. It was good music. And it kind of snowballed quick. Our second year doing music, we played the Bomb House at the gathering, and me and that dude fell apart. I went into another group called the Billionaires that we started with my homeboy Steven. From that, I went solo. And there's a whole like slew of shit that happened in between that. But then say about 5 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I rebranded with the pig mask, and just kind of went from there. And now we're on the road to retirement.
So where Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a little town called Lake Placid. And then from when I was 9, my mom got cancer, and I had to move to Deltona into a foster care system. And so Deltona, like Orlando area, is
Okay.
where I really grew up and developed who I was as a person.
As far as like the underground scene goes, was that something that, and this is something I just like talking about because I find stuff like this interesting. Because for me, being right next to Highway I-75, that was a hotbed for the underground because I mean it goes all the way up to Detroit and back, so they would literally just boom go down, right? So we got all the literally the town to where I live today and the town when I was a little kid. I-75 goes through it, so we had access to all that, and the underground was plentiful for us. We didn't have to go searching for it that hard. Was it like that for you? Like, did you have to find it on your own, or how did you get into underground music?
So, I mean, I heard a lot about it. You know what I'm saying? And I know ICP used to come to Orlando and Tampa area a lot. But as far as the underground scene, when we were coming up, there was not in our area. Like in Tampa, you had Psycho Jesus, Tampa Wicked. Those dudes were doing it, and then my homeboy Hater Mark and D Murder started a label down there that was B&G Records, which initially a few years into music, that's who we ended up joining with. So we kind of like cornered the Central Florida market together. But really, nah, man. When we started doing it, there wasn't any, and I think that's why we popped off so hard back then. Nowadays, like fucking pulling teeth because everybody and their mother's some kind of musician and
Yeah.
having shows and stuff. But like back then, there wasn't shit like that, and I think that's why we popped off so hard in the area that we did, because they were like, "Yo, this is actually fucking cool and fun." And like we would, our very first show that wasn't in a house, I rented an art gallery for $300 for a night. They gave us the keys, and so everybody that came in the art gallery, I was like, "Listen, I know we're wild and shit, smoking all that shit outside, but when you come in here, please don't knock these paintings off the fucking wall." Like I don't have the thousands of dollars to replace it. And so we did the show, and they set up for church the next morning in the same fucking place. So I mean, like that was our option. There was really no music venues that were fucking with that type of music. It was all like older classic rock type bands and shit, but nothing like
Yeah.
the underground.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. And it's funny because I kind of come from the same type of thing as you were talking about, where oh God, I know she's gonna be watching this, but hey, it happened. It is what it is. Once upon a time, like my mom was always trying to keep me from finding out some of the more underground type stuff. I remember once upon a time for my birthday, one of my aunts took me to this CD store called CD Connection, and I came home with Riddlebox and Carnival of Carnage, and my mom made me take it back and replace it for something else that didn't have parental advisory on it. Like that's how
Right.
strict it was. I wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of that stuff. And then came Napster, and all that shit fell apart. Like you weren't stopping me from getting anything once Napster came around. There was no more need to go to CD Connection. So yeah, it's weird at that point in time, kind of like once the internet came around, man, it wouldn't matter what kind of household you were in. If you had it, man, you had access to it. So yeah, that was and
Right.
that's something that I think a lot of people forget. And it wasn't even that long ago. Like once upon a time, you had to look. And if you couldn't, like you said, now you throw a rock, you can find an underground rapper or an underground band, whatever. It's
Right.
not hard to find at all. But back then, yeah, it was very hard to find. Okay. So, all right. So, at what point in your life, and I want to kind of talk about the creation of the D.E.A.N character here because your imagery is something that really stuck out to me the first time I saw it. And not only because there is a yin and a yang to your character, as far as like how you present yourself, and what you dress yourself in. It's kind of jarring when you kind of look at it. I remember seeing you out of the character and then seeing you in it. I was like, I didn't even know it was you at first. Like I thought maybe you
Right.
were the representative. That's how different like the yin and the yang is there. So how did you get to a point where you were like, man, this is something that I want to do? And how did you make that D.E.A.N character, and why the pig god persona?
So, all right, going back, like my original name was Two Face. I stuck with that for a long time, and then I was probably like 11, 12 years, and then when my mom passed away, I took a step back from music, and I took about a year to heal and figure out everything. But the whole time, I was kind of like, all right, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna give it a real fucking shot. Like I don't want to just come back and there's a thousand fucking two faces out there. There really is, and there's even a bunch of deans. You know what I mean? But I was like, what exactly is the picture that I want to paint? What do I want to do with this? And I will say, I kind of took inspiration from a band from overseas called Lordy. With they're like a monster type, guarish type band. And every album that he does, the singer, his persona like changes a little bit, still the same kind of monster, but changes. And I was like, man, I want to kind of do that, but like, what do I want to do? Do I want to do like a goat? Do I want to do some kind of like, I knew I wanted to do like a animal type thing because one of my favorite books is Animal House. No, the
Animal
one where
Farm.
Animal Farm. Yes, sorry, favorite
It's
book,
all
couldn't
right.
remember. Um, so I wanted to do something that was like representative of that. Then I was like, pigs. All right, pigs are smart. They can devour a human. That's fucking brutal. And I was like, all right, pigs. What can we do with that? So every album that I've released under the persona, the mask changes a little bit, gets a little bit more detailed. Added a bottom jaw to it. I've always wore these long trench coats that have like spikes or some kind of shit there. And then as far as the imagery behind the stage goes, there was a point in time where we had D.E.A.N's Traveling Creep Show because we always did a festival called Creep Show down in Florida for Halloween. And I was like, well, I want to take that shit on the road with me wherever I go. So we got these big like circus banners made, come see the Pigman live. And I don't know. I've always wanted to do like a very theatrical show. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When we're running on a no budget team and everybody's really just doing their best to help, like I got to give credit to my ex-wife where it's due. Lolly Rotten, they always put their all into helping me out and helping me with the stage stuff. But I really wanted to do something different. I wanted to do it in a style that was true to me, rap, rock and roll, kind of like horror punkish. And that's kind of what I went with, and just kind of over the years kind of developed and built it up.
Yeah. Something that I think when, and maybe it's just me, but when you give like a what's the word I'm looking for here? For instance, okay, I'll just say it this way. The pig that you use. When you use a specific animal, I think for some people, not only are you presenting the imagery that you want to present, but it also, so in the subconscious mind, you kind of look at that imagery and you sort of morph it into what you're seeing as you being the fan. So, for instance, when I see your imagery as the D.E.A.N character with the pig mask and all that, and come see the Pigman live, one of the first things I thought was, oh man, that's very similar to Professor Pig, who Professor Pig is a DC villain. He's a Batman villain, and he is
Oh
a
yeah.
he's somebody, for those who don't know, he's basically a plastic surgeon, but he's a Batman villain. So obviously he carves your face out, and calls them your pretties or whatever. But when I saw that, I interpreted the character not only as what you're presenting, but in my mind, I'm also comparing it to that. So it's almost like a stroke of genius doing that way, because for lack of better words, you're kind of making a blank slate. Not only are you presenting on top of what you're trying to present the audience, but you're presenting that blank slate for them to present it as well, for them to interpret it how they look at it. Because again, I'm looking on the side of the stage, and I remember that those banners that stuck out of my mind too. That come see the Pigman live, everything. It looks like you're looking at a sideshow, and
Right.
I think you do that very. That's one of the things you very well excelled at. And luckily, I must have caught you on one of the days where it worked, because the fans and everybody there, man, they were eating it up. And that was one of the few times, bro. I have seen so many live performances. You know how it is. It's insane. So to get me to stand there and pay attention to somebody's set takes a lot of interest, and that was one where I was actually standing there watching the entire thing from start to finish, because not only is the imagery is what caught me, but like you said, you have a whole stage show that comes along with it, and I really like that stuff. That's one of the things that's always drawn me to the underground. I don't like it when I shouldn't say I don't like it. I like it better when there is an entire stage presentation, because that's why we're here. Like, none of us are actual serial killers. None of us are actual thugs. None of us do all that. We're here for the imagery. We're here for the show, and you do a very good job at that. So, speaking of the first time I saw you, which was at Camp Zool, AXC, the Alazulu guys, how did you end up getting linked up with them?
Honestly, man, so like prior to Camp Zool and everything, I was a fan of their music. I really dug what they were doing. And I watched them come up. I watched them hustle. They toured around with behind a tour at one point and was just handing out stickers and stuff. And I was like, damn, that's fucking hustle. And I liked what they were doing. And I kind of, whenever the first Camp Zool was coming around, I was like, man, I got to be a part of this somehow. Um, and, I was on the TNT every, weekend or week, Tuesday Night Terror, talking with their fan base and stuff. And after I performed the first one, I seemed to really fit in with their community and what they were trying to do. So they invited me back to the second one. Had a little bit of issues that year, but at the same time, it was a really dope year. That was the year that I was able to secure doing a song with the boys, and I really respect their hustle. I respect what they do, and it's always, especially Sun. Also, I knew him pre-Sun, and me and him have just always been boys. I know if I ever have any like real life bullshit going on, I could go to him, and he just wordsmiths the fuck out of
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
he can talk to anybody about fucking anything.
Funny story about that, real quick. This year during his Q&A, it was, dude, I knew this was going to happen too, but I'm standing there in the back because he wanted me to play music at a certain point where people could come up and ask questions for him. He talked so long, he answered everybody's questions, and when it was time for the actual question part of the Q&A, nobody had any, because he just went, like you said, he's a wordsmith, man. He knows, Logan SON has the ability to tap into what anybody is feeling and play it to the point where he can relate to anyone. And I think that's a big draw to him. Like I said, he was able to answer everybody's questions at a Q&A before, they could even ask a question. So Logan is wise beyond his years, for sure. How did you get to know him? Because I didn't know him until it was time for Camp Zool.
Honestly, man, we were at J Day in New Orleans, and I was just I was drunk, handing out shots and beers there, everybody around me, and me and him just kind of started talking and clicked, and ever since then, he just been my boy. Like, and it's
Hell yeah.
funny because I didn't know that he did music or was trying to pursue music. And then he talked to me. He was like, "Yo, I'm about to start doing this thing," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, fuck it!" And then I heard it. I was like, "Oh, I totally get it. I understand. Go for that shit."
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to the very first Camp Zool, the one that I met you and the one I met SON at, I remember two specific things. Well, okay, I should take that back. I remember three specific things about that weekend. First thing is, and I've said this 100 times and I don't care. The first thing is how nice day one was and how ungodly cold day two was. I will never forget. I don't think I've ever in my life been that cold as I was driving home from day two. It was wet, it was snowy, it was below freezing temperatures.
I
Oh
liked
God,
it.
it was ungodly.
You gotta think, I'm already fat. I'm 6'5", almost 400 pounds. Plus, I got a pig mask and a fucking jacket on all the time. Like, I was chilling. Like, I'm good. Everybody was like, "It's so cold."
Right.
Though. I was like, "This is nice."
It's like a cooler for you, right? Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is I remember just like there was a vibe that weekend that like you strive for.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't understand how else to put it, but that like when you put on an event like that, everyone wants everyone to have this uh, certain feeling to it, I guess almost. And that weekend encapsulated that feeling perfectly. And I don't know how else to explain it. And if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was like the perfect weekend. It felt like it was for us. Like that whole
Right.
event was everybody there. Now, it wasn't for AXE. It wasn't for, super famous fun time guys. It was for every single person that bought a ticket who was working there, the Terrortown people. The entire event just felt like it was our event. And I'll never forget that. And then number three, going back to our good buddy Logan, I'll never forget him pulling the crowd on stage and nobody telling me he was going to do this, him included, and scaring the ever living fuck out of me because this is our first time here. The
Right.
stage that we're using, they've done some repairs to it, but the stage at the time was falling apart. Like you could when you stood on that bitch, when you stood on that bitch, it was spongy. Like that
Right.
stage was not well put together at that point. So I'm fucking terrified of what's going to happen because there were three people up there and now there's fucking 60 all at once and everybody's like squeezing in together. And I'm panicked and it's hilarious now because now he thinks it's funny. Now he thinks it's funny to freak me out when it comes to the stage shit. He just did it to me at Camps 4. He told me day one, he said, Jay, he pulled me aside before anything was really happening. He was like, Jay, I just want you to know I'm headlining Sunday. You know this. I said, yes, I know. He says, just so you know, you're going to hate me because of the. I'm like, oh, no, see, and he just starts hysterically laughing, hysterically laughing. And he was right. I hated him. I hated him after the end of it. After it was over, he was correct. Okay, so you kind of alluded to it a little bit here. You said you're kind of going on a retirement tour. Why are you finishing up now?
There's a lot. There's a lot to it, and I'll try to break it down as quickly and as simply as possible. For damn near 2 decades of my life, I sacrificed everything for music. I sacrificed relationships. I sacrificed jobs. I sacrificed time, money. I could have bought a house with the money that I put into music for no return. For no return.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is I would never trade the memories that I have. Um, I've done national tours for months at a time. I've done festivals. I've worked with the people that I love. I've accomplished things in my life that I never stopped to think about because I never stopped.
Yeah.
And then I did after my divorce. I did stop for a while, and I thought about it, and I thought about all the things that I accomplished, and for me personally, it's a whole new era of music. It's very hard for me to keep up with. When I first started this, I was a musician and I had a small team that did small things, and we were progressing. Now you have to have a full ass fucking team, and you yourself have to be on 60 different platforms and doing this and you know doing all this, and it got to the point because you got to think outside of just music. I also directed horror movies for a while. I had a whole ass
Mm.
comic book series out. um, like I extended my artistic abilities to the point to where I've told almost all my stories. I've done everything that I've wanted to succeed at, except the fact that sometimes in life, what you dream about and what you think success is may not be what your success is made to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And it got really hard for me to keep saying, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Why am I not where this person is, or where this person is, or how far this has come? I've been here since blah, blah, blah. And it started weighing on me and really fucking my head up. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes, I had to take a step back and like be like, yo, what about all the shit you did do? What about all the, I used to speak at horror conventions about indie movies and stuff. And like, there's a lot of things in my life that I succeeded at that, I don't have fucking $500,000 in the bank right now, but what's up here, that's, irreplaceable. But all that being said, I was like, I have spent half of my life putting everything in art. What about it for the next decade or 2 decades? We just focus on life. We focus on building a relationship that is strong with a partner. Putting that money that I would have spent uh, on an album into fixing my credit and buying, trying to buy a house eventually in the next 10 years. Just really just focus on enjoying things. Like, this is gonna sound really weird, but Disney saved my life. I've said this to multiple people. They're like, "What?" I was like, when I was real bad off after my divorce mentally, I became an annual pass holder, and I started going to the parks, and I just healing the kid inside of me has been so fucking refreshing.
Yeah.
And finding out that Disney, like, you can be part of a pin collecting group, which is fucking
Yeah.
sounds stupid, but it's fun. It's fun. Like, and
Not
there's
at
so
all.
much.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all, bro. That is uh what you're saying right now, I gotta stop you because I cannot agree more with you with what you just said. When I went, because I went on my honeymoon in 2021. Me and my wife did. We went to Universal and we went to Disney. Dude, we did the whole Galaxy's Edge experience, and it
Right,
was we both agree on this, me and my wife. So I'm not saying anything out of turn here. We liked our wedding. We loved our honeymoon for that
right,
reason, because just for Galaxy's Edge, bro. Like to be able to experience that. I don't give a fuck. Spoiler alert. Lee Carver of AXE just came back from there last month, and he was happier than a little kid. So anybody want to talk shit
right,
about what this man is saying right now can fuck off, because you don't understand. You're denying yourself the greatness of what he's saying, because it is
right.
absolutely correct, bro. Yes.
And it's just cool, man. And I can only like, cause me and my girl, we're D23 members now, so we're in on like all the we're planning on going to the big convention and shit where they do the Star
Hell
Wars
yeah.
panels, the Marvel panels, and the collecting shit. Like, I got shit that I never thought I would ever collect, but it's
Yeah.
almost like the same feeling as when you found out what being a juggalo was. you're part of a new community, and you want all the dopest merch and shit like that. So it's kind of that, it's like a middle-aged renaissance for me, I guess.
Yeah.
But I want to getting back to, I want to just kind of focus on being happy and healthy instead of deadlines and dollar amounts and fucking just constant, you got to save money to go to a show unless somebody's paying you, which in this genre it's not, rare.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fucking time and a lot of fucking money and pressure to try to feel like you're accomplishing something, when I just want to just kind of exist,
Yeah.
and just be happy, So
Yeah.
that's one of the main reasons I'm quitting, along with several other nitpicky things that I won't get into. But
When Menace to Sobriety called it quits, I had to really sit down and reflect for about 2 weeks. And I know it was 2 weeks because after a 2 week time frame, I started to feel better because the door was shut on me. I didn't have a choice. But when you really sit back and you reflect about stuff like this, I think the people that want to take this seriously have this mindset of going, once I get to this destination right here, like I know I'm starting off all the way over here, but once I get here, I'll be happy.
mm-hmm.
Once you get here, I can tell you firsthand that doesn't guarantee happiness. I know the people that, I grew up listening to. Matter of fact, I point to this poster all the time. Not only did I tour with Twisted as a act, I worked for them. I'm here to tell you right now, not saying that they're miserable people. They got the same problems, they got the same issues. They are not happy just because they are here. They're happy they're not over here anymore, but over here is just as many problems, just different ones. And I think
Right.
that's the mindset that people get caught up on, is once I get to this next level. Like I thought once I go on tour with Twisted, it's going to solve everything. It didn't. Then when they offered me to work for them for a month, man, once I get home from this is going to change everything. It didn't. Man, I got Blaze Your Dead Homie on a track. I got Young Wicked on a track. I got ROC on a track. Once we release this album, this is going to change everything. It didn't. It didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, and that's one of the reasons why I agreed to work with AXE for the last 3 years. And I don't know how much longer that's going to happen, but because, hey, just like you, it's getting to a point where it's like, dude, if I ain't having fun, I ain't trying to do it. And that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And these shows, while they pay well and it does put me around music, it's not a lot of fun for me. Like, if you see me on one of these shows, I'm getting my ass kicked. Especially like this year at Capsule 4, it's 90 degrees out and I'm literally running all over the place. Fuck that shit, dude. It's hard. So I don't know how many more of these I have in me. And like I said, if I'm not having fun, I'm not trying to do it. And at the end of the day, back to what you kind of alluded to as well. At the end of the day, it's no longer just, oh, I get to go and, play music. And the music is the least that you're going to do when it comes to this stuff. Me and Lee Carver were having a conversation about this last fall, and he was telling me how he was having the same conversation with Billy Obey. To be in the music game, especially the underground music today, you have to be a pretty good musician, but you have to be an excellent social media expert. You have to be a stellar Photoshop expert. You have to know how to edit your own videos. And that's just if you want to make some money. Now, when it comes to this show, I have an advantage because everything I just listed, other than the music part, but even when it comes to the music, like for this show, I use old Menace to Sobriety instrumentals. So we still, used it for that. But everything that I did in Menace to Sobriety, when it comes to social media, video editing, all that, I do for this show. And this is easy compared to what I used to do for Menace and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm having a lot of fun with the show. Granted, I also don't have to answer to 8 other guys. This is my baby, so I make the decisions when it comes to this stuff, and that helps quite a bit. But I totally understand what you're saying because it gets to a point, and I don't know if it is middle age or if it's just like you come to the realization, like I was saying at the beginning of this rant, you just have this mindset of once I get here, everything will be better. And it's not the case, you know. And I'm not trying to disparage anybody from doing this because, like you said, I got a lot of cool fucking memories. I got a lot of cool memories that I've achieved over the last 10 years that I wouldn't trade for the world. But do I want to keep trying to, aim for that? No, no, I don't. And
Right.
the reasons
Well,
aren't like you said.
the music industry is just it's. I mean, to me, I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic, trying to recover. I'm, a recovering drug addict from a long time ago. And the fucking music industry is the same thing, man. It's chasing the
Yeah.
dragon. It's chasing that 20
Yeah.
minutes that you're on stage feeling good about yourself, and then the rest of the weeks or months just trying to develop what you need to get to be able to
Right.
get to that point again. It's an addiction, man, and it's tiring. It brings, if that's all you're focused on, it brings people down that are, around you. So the one thing that I can say, man, everybody wants to, oh, I'm gonna drop these singles and blow up on fucking YouTube or whatever the fuck. You may. It happens to some people, but the fraction of people that do make it like that is so fucking small. So if
Yeah.
it doesn't do that, and you're not in it for because you're enjoying what you do, just fucking don't do it, man. And that's the point where I'm at. It's like
Yeah.
I woke up one day. I posted about it a couple days ago. As a matter of fact, I posted a picture of me, and I was standing in front of the banners and my fog machines that I had just got, and I had just dropped Poltergeist, which was my highest grossing album of anything that I ever did. My highest grossing merch sales of all time. I had just come off of Camp Zool 1 and was invited back to Camp Zool 2. I felt I was there, man. It was about to be pushed over the edge. Um, and then a year later, I remember distinctly being like, "What the fuck happened? What happened?" I thought, everything was there, and the signs were there. I thought it was, that was it. Um, and I was just like, "Man, fuck this." And but on the same token, these last few albums that I'm putting together, I wanted to do three in particular, and I'm not doing the kind of push for them that we used to, because fact of the matter is I don't really care if new people hear it. I want people that have been
Yeah.
around since the beginning to hear it and enjoy the closing and the story. um, and then that's kind of what it is to me, man. And it's these albums are more out of love and me taking time before I step away. And while I say I'm stepping away, I'm just not making music anymore. My partner D Murder, who's been with me since the beginning, as a matter of fact, he's taking over Bonesaw Entertainment, and we just signed a new group. That's when I heard their album front to back before they put it out, I was like, all right, these dudes have the same hunger and desire and everything that we had long time ago. And I would like to use my resources to try to help these dudes get to where they need to be and get to be able to play things like the gathering and camp and have
Right.
those memories to make, so we're while I'm not doing music anymore and I took a way fucking step back from pretty much everything, D Murder is really going to be keeping it alive, trying to keep the Florida scene alive. So I'll
Oh
be
yeah.
around.
Awesome.
I just won't be. It'll be more so the fact that I can actually sit back as a fan and enjoy things again, and not have to always see people as competition or see
Right.
people as a threat. For the farther you get into it too, the more paranoid you fucking get. because it's
Mm-mm.
everybody smiles to your face, but who knows who's talking what behind your back, and it
Yeah.
becomes a, are these people genuinely shaking my hand because they fucking like what I do, or are they just fucking, what's going on? So that was another thing that was starting to weigh on me heavy. Like, um, I don't know, it got to be too much, and I was like, all right, this is fucking crazy.
All right, everybody, it's time to stop and let everyone know about the brand new sponsor of The Rose Show. It is W Energy. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, what is W Energy? Well, I'm about to tell you right now. It is an energy supplement that gives you no crash and no jitters. That's right. Isn't that something you've been wanting anyway? I've been looking for a reason to drop all my old energy drinks that were unhealthy for me. Too much additives, too much trash in it, too much stuff that's going to make you crash, make you fall asleep at the end of the day. Not W. So how can you get your hands on some W to try? I'm going to tell you how. And I'm going to tell you how to save some money while you do it. Go to www.w.gg and at checkout, type in my new promo code, and it is Who Else. That's right. The promo code at www.w.gg is Who Else. Because, hey, who else but me, your boy Jay? I wouldn't steer you wrong, right? And when you do, make sure you tag your boy. Let me know you got some, you tried it, and I know you're going to love it.
Yeah, I totally get that. And that's another reason why I like doing this realm. I don't like calling it podcasting because I don't think this is a podcast. I present this more as a show, but I know the generalization of stuff like this is podcasting. But I'm a master of this realm. So there's nothing anybody can get from me that I'm not willing to give. You know what I'm saying? And that paranoia is always there. There's so many people. There's one person in particular, and I'm not trying to start any beef, so I'm not going to put their name out there, but I was warned about them when I was booking shows in Dayton, Ohio. And at the time, like, we were selling out with Twisted every time they came through. I was warned at this time that this one particular person would only be around when I could offer them something. And then as soon as I couldn't, they'd be gone. And sure enough, as soon as COVID hit around, I never heard from this person for until about 6 months ago. And what did they want 6 months ago? To be on this show. And no. I know about you now. So yeah, it's 100% real, you know, and this is, for lack of better words, a safe space for me to create, because this is my reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything I do here, I present it. You are not going to get one over on me. There's no way you can make me look, not you, but you know what I'm saying? There's no way anybody can make me look bad. This is my realm. So this is how I can get that out. Much in the same way you were talking about when it comes to the Disney collectibles, which I would, man, we might have to come back and do a Disney episode then, because I could talk so much about some of that, dude. Like, Galaxy's Edge changed my life, 100%. Bro.
And that's another thing that's crazy, because I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and she's like, you know, when I first met you, you were the biggest, like, just horror nut guy, blah, all this stuff, and like, it was nonstop horror, and now it's become the complete opposite, nonstop, like Disney, Star Wars, fucking all this shit, and I'm just like, that's another thing, man. You are what you put in your brain and your body. Since I started, like, kind of giving myself a break from, don't get me wrong, I love horror. I always will. Monsters are my shit. But I give myself a break from that now, and I'll watch something with a positive message, or I'll listen to music with a positive message and shit. And it's really helped my, you know, my bipolar disorder and really get in control of my feelings and my mind and shit, which a lot of people don't like to talk about, but I'm all for mental health awareness and shit. But it's crazy, the change, that the chemical change that goes in your body when you feed it positivity rather than constant negativity.
Yeah. And the only reason why I still listen to underground music is because that's more theater of the mind. But I'm in the same mindset of you. I don't play shoot 'em up games anymore. Other than Joe Black has been trying to get me on Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I'm sure by the time this comes out, I've played a couple rounds with him. So yeah, I will play that one. But like, I play Animal Crossing on my Nintendo Switch every day, because that gives me, like, a brain refreshment, like you said, something positive is coming in. There's nothing negative about Animal Crossing. Like it is
Right.
100% an all fun, wholesome type game. When I wasn't playing that, I was playing Pokemon Go, and because it's and I think you kind of alluded to this earlier. It's some of like our people that couldn't afford everything back in the day. As an adult, I think we tend to go back and find the stuff that we loved as little kids and feed it to us as an adults. Like to the left of me, I've got 3,000 comic books that I started collecting 3 years ago. And I've amassed 3,000 in 3 years. Why? Because I was never able to afford a comic book collection until recently. So I'm
Right.
feeding that inner child or whatever. But even then, like, it gets to a point where, especially in this day and age, life is dark enough. Like we're just constant. Like, this fucking thing right here is in everybody's pocket is a constant feeder of negative energy 24/7. And I can't really complain a whole lot because I use this thing to promote what we're doing right now. So I'm not complaining about it.
Right.
However, it gets to a point like what you were saying. You have to give yourself that mental break and get some light into your world. I don't care how dark you think you are. That's a lot of the reasons why so many people cannot get out of their vicious cycle is because they won't allow themselves to go to that place. I don't give a fuck what you think about me, dog. I got Funko Pops on my wall. I got Dragon Ball Z characters right
Yep.
here. But right here, I got some WWE characters. I don't care. Like, you can judge me all you want. I want some positivity in my life anymore. And it could be a middle-aged thing. I don't know. So what you're saying resonates with me perfectly, man. And much props for you for taking mental health seriously. That is something I preach all the time because especially, and I'm not trying to dime out any woman on this podcast. This is a generalization comment. Women constantly will tell men, we want you to be more open, but the second we try, we're labeled as crybabies. Or, oh, why are you being such a wuss? I hate that shit with a passion. Men, I know so many people, so many male individuals who should still be with us here today, but couldn't get out of their own way because the second a man opens up to somebody, they're labeled as a crybaby. And I'm so fucking tired of that. Take your mental health seriously, man. There's no shame in
Yep.
saying, I need help. I need someone to talk to. There's no shame in that at all. And I'm over the stigma that men can't open up to other people. You should be able to. And by all means, like Dean was saying, if you feel like you need to, bro, there's a lot of people with DMs open. And I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, but you opened something up in me that took me to there. So I
No,
apologize.
I get it. I've always been, and that's I think was another downfall of me in this scene is that I have always, there's a lot of people in the industry that want to say kayfabe all the time, and I just I am very much not that type of person.
Yeah.
I have always been very who I am. Big on supporting gay and trans rights, big on, just everybody being happy and being
Yeah.
and taking care of their fucking mental health. I have a lot of opinions that a lot of people in our scene don't happen to like or fucking, have, that's a whole other conversation. But I will say it was very hard growing up Juggalo, but also being a half gay dude because every other lyric back in the day was the F bomb that we
Yeah.
don't use anymore, and very much like homophobic comments and shit. And it's nice to see that is slowly changing in our scene. People are a
Yeah.
lot more receptive to that now, and that's dope. There's still people out there that don't like it or whatever, and I think that was the downfall of mine because I can't keep my fucking mouth shut sometimes. If I believe in something and if I want to stand up for something, I'm gonna fucking say it. I'm not gonna, I don't care like you said, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. This is what I think is right, and I won't like fight you on what you think is right either, because if that's what you
Yeah.
think is right, cool, man. But
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And unfortunately, and this is the last thing I'll say, and we'll wrap it up since we're hitting the hour mark. Um, society today has accepted this lie that just because me and you don't agree on something, okay, look, if you come to me and say the best Pokemon in the world is a Raichu, and I say, nah, dude, Charizard's got that locked up, are we not going to be friends anymore? No. So why do we take everyday opinions? Then that sounds silly, and people are going to go, oh, you can't equate that to. Yes, I can, and here's why. Because at the end of the day, it's just an opinion. As long as you're not forcing me to do something, and as long as I'm not forcing you to do something, what is wrong with us looking at things differently? Oh,
Right.
well, morals. Whose morals? My morals are no better than yours. Your morals are no better than mine. As long as you're living your life and you're not hurting me, I don't give a fuck what you do. Yes, that's what it comes down. And society has accepted this lie that if we don't agree, we must be at war. You know who wants you to think that? The people that are getting rich off of us being assholes to each other. That's who wants you
Exactly.
to think that. It's never been a.
100%.
I don't know why up recently most of society has accepted, and our scene is probably one of the worst. We claim to be some of the most open people on the world. Tell me you don't like ICP and be in the underground. It ain't gonna happen. It
Right.
ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I'm with you 100% on that, bro. It's such a disappointment that people can't. And not only that, what is the actual definition of a brainstorm? Is the meeting of multiple minds with multiple viewpoints and multiple opinions sitting down and having a discussion to achieve a common goal. It Brainstorming is not everyone who thinks exactly the same gets in a circle and all affirms each other's ideas. That's not how shit gets done. So for you to
Right.
have a different perspective than me, and for me to have a different perspective than you or him or her or whoever, that's how we come together and we better ourselves. But we have accepted this lie as a society that that's how we should be enemies because we think different. No, that's our strength. Isn't that what everybody likes to preach these days? Diversity is our strength. Well, if diversity is our strength, why is everybody trying to make us these NPCs who all think the exact same? Think about that if you're sitting here watching that. Anyway, for the soapbox, we sat here and talked about some positive stuff. Let's end on a positive note. Man, I got a lot of respect for what you do. Like I said, I enjoyed every time I've seen you perform. One of the nicest dudes I've met. You've always been respectful. I greatly appreciate that because there's a lot of people that have achieved less than you and done less than you who don't have the attitude that you do. So it's nice to see somebody that has that wherewithal to be respectful and be humble and down to earth and very approachable. And man, I really hope this last hurrah that you have does excellent. Yeah, much love and respect to you. I'm going to go ahead and turn the last couple of minutes over to you. Anything you want to say, let people know where to find you on social media, where they can find your music, all that good stuff. The floor is yours, my man.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I very much appreciate you having me on. I appreciate what you do, and I'm proud to see how far you've come in such a short
Thank
amount
you.
of episodes. That's something that I wanted to throw out there. Um,
Thank you.
for me, it's deanbse.com. You can find my partner and my label mates work at dmurder727.com, and our new artist, Dead Body Corp. It's deadbodycorp.com. Those boys, if you're into like the Chapter 17 Darby O'Trill type music, uh, those boys take that in the classic like 90s ICP vibe,
Mm.
and they killed it. And that's the main reason that we worked with them, because it was really just going to be me and Dan, but whatever. But we saw these dudes and I was like, we got to put them on. So I'll always shout them out. We have our new album called Goddamn coming out on the 17th. It's me and D Murder. Features Doc Gruesome, Michigan Misfits, our old homie Outbreak. We got a hot sauce that dropped with that St. Pete Sauce Company. Um, the DBC album Transmissions from the Carnival just came out. Black Sarcophagus, my last album with Fritz the Cat, just dropped. So we got, and then I got 2 more albums coming out. One full-length 80s rock album, and then a album with Slasher Dave. So gonna be a good little last run before the end of the year, and just keep up with us. Like I said, deanbse.com. We're gonna be having a retro album coming out soon with a bunch of unreleased stuff. And I too will be doing a podcast for a couple months, and it's more so a memoir for me. It's bringing people on that have known me since I was a kid all the way up till now. It's a podcast called Holy Shit, I Did That. And so that'll be releasing on the Underground Holics channel. So it'll mainly just be stories about my life and shit. So if you're into stuff like that, definitely tune in. And outside of that, thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, my man.
Hell yeah.